not interested in playing games. I mean, I'm not trying to be
Okay.
troublesome to you or something. I just, I just,
This is just an icebreaker to
we
kind of like
already broke the
alleviate the
ice. We're
tension.
talking about the end of the world. There's nothing to break. It is
I
what it
mean, at the
is.
same time, it's still not only, informative, but it's also entertaining to listeners, especially if you want to create a deeper dialogue with them. Like,
I'm
I
not
do
interested.
understand.
I'm not interested in entertaining
Okay,
people
it's
with
perfectly
that.
fine. Okay, folks.
Yeah.
So we're just gonna go ahead and end this segment.
Don't hold back how you feel. Welcome to the platform for the misunderstood and creatives alike. So roll a joint and pour a shot. You're listening to the Dash It Out podcast, the show that brings your after hours talk to daytime. No wrong opinions and all unfiltered. With your host, Vic Dash Tour.
Welcome to another episode of the Dash It Out Show. I'm your host, Vic Dash Tour, and we're here with Mr. Damien Dumar. Damien is a reptilian-human hybrid experiencer of the infamous Montauk Project and publisher of the book, The Last Harvest. And he's here with us today on the Dash It Out Show. So let's go ahead and get into it. Okay, for the most part, can I just say greetings? Can you just tell everyone just a little bit about who you are and what you're about?
Well, my name is Damien Dumar. I'm the publisher of The Last Harvest by Lucy and Mars. The subtitle for the book is called A Secret History of Lucifera, Aliens, the Illuminati, and the Fate of Humanity. And on the cover of the book, you see the Georgia Guidestones. And the reason that you have a picture of the Georgia Guidestones on the... she wants to say hello. Here you go. Say hello.
Video bomb by the kitty.
Video
Hi,
bomb by the
Garfield.
kitty. So the reason that the Georgia Guidestones are on the cover is because the Georgia Guidestones detail, literally in stone, the plan of the elite of the world to reduce the population by 90%. And
Shut the fuck up.
The Last Harvest by Lucy and Mars is filled with quotes from the elite, whether they be in finance or politics or the Illuminati, where they talk about this plan to keep the world population reduced by 90%. And so not only is this notion of keeping the population at 90% reduction quoted throughout the book, but another fact which comes up over and over is the year 2025 as the year in which this plan will commence. So when I say that, I don't mean that by 2025 they will have successfully eliminated 90% of the world's population. No. I'm simply saying that the plans will begin to unfold that will ultimately culminate in this target of 90% population reduction. As you said, when you take factors like COVID or other viral-based vectors, we combine it with the vector of World War III, which is looming on the horizon. We can see the issues with Russia. We see the conflict in the Middle East. We see a potential conflict starting with China. And when you look at certain other facts, such as that the Air Force has stated that by 2025, they will have control of the weather to such a degree that they can initiate famines and droughts at will. So when we combine these three vectors, it's not hard to imagine that this goal that is inscribed on the Georgia Guidestones of reducing the population by 90% would not fail to be achieved. So when you say to somebody, okay, well, this is what the plan is, then the immediate question that comes up next is, well, why would the elite do such a thing? That seems rather rude. And the answer to that is that the elite on this planet actually do the bidding of an extraterrestrial group called the Greys. So a lot of people view the Greys as, oh, they're our friends, they're our space brothers. It's not the case. They actually wish to take the planet for themselves and hybridize the survivors. So this is the overall plan. So the issue becomes then, well, if you're going to start talking about extraterrestrials, you need to start talking about the history of extraterrestrials. Who are they? Where did they come from? How do they view things? What are their experiences? Specifically with how it relates to this planet and the creation of human beings or the re-engineering of human beings on this planet at their hands. So this book, The Last Harvest by Lucy and Mars, it doesn't have any information that is old. it's all new information that no one's ever heard before. So if someone is interested in topics such as extraterrestrials, then this book is a must-have because it's going to have all this information they've never seen before. The same old recycled information. It's nothing that David Icke has already said. It's all brand new. So the book can be kind of divided into two parts. One is the second half of the book, which would be, well, what do the elite plan to do? And that is not in the realm of conspiracy. It's not hypothesis, because everything in the second half of The Last Harvest by Lucien Mars is footnoted. It's quoted. You can find the sources. The first half of the book, which has to do with the history of extraterrestrials, clearly that is information that can't be proved. How do you prove that to someone? But the information is so unique, so new, so holistic, the way it comes together, that if someone reads and digests all this material, it will present them with a perspective that's so original that it's very difficult for someone to do that and not accept the material or not have it benefit them in their lives. And this book specifically was written to target the 10% of the population who have what is called Rh negative blood. So while maybe only 10% of the world population has that factor in its blood, almost everyone who is in the Illuminati, who is royalty, or who is abducted by aliens has the Rh negative blood factor. And scientists have come out and said that the Rh negative blood factor is not native to this planet, which is a politically correct way of saying it's extraterrestrial in origin. So the book, The Last Harvest, goes into great detail as to where Rh negative blood actually comes from. What does it mean? And if someone suspects that they have been abducted, if they feel that they maybe have abilities that other humans don't have, anything of that nature, it would behoove them to go on Amazon and purchase an at-home test where you can prick your finger and put a little bit of blood on a card, mail it back into a lab, and they'll tell you all about your blood, including if you are Rh negative. It costs maybe 10, 15 bucks. And if it turns out that you are indeed Rh negative, then if you feel that you've been abducted, well, you probably have been, because you are the number one target for alien abductions. Being that those who have Rh negative blood are most easily hybridizable. So an extraterrestrial can take your organism and hybridize you and turn you into something else. And this is much more difficult to do with human beings who do not have the Rh negative factor in their blood.
That's a lot to process.
It is.
I kind of just wanted to elaborate a little bit on the Rh negative blood.
Sure.
So what would that process look like? Because it sounds to me like, is it like some type of extraterrestrial blood infusion, or is it just from being abducted and your blood dramatically changed to fit their environment? Like, how would that
Those are great questions. Yes. In the briefest way I could express it possible, those who have Rh negative blood are genetically related to the survivors of Atlantis. That's the simplest explanation. So it is an actual genetic modification that was done on those beings. And The Last Harvest goes into great detail exactly who, how, where, and why it occurred. So anyone who has that factor in their blood, they are a descendant of those survivors. And it wasn't all Atlanteans. It was just a specific group of Atlanteans who were actually ruling it. And you are a descendant of those people. So this is why people who have Rh negative blood are also often contacted by, let's say, the Freemasons for recruitment. And they'll say, well, why would the Freemasons reach out to me and recruit me? Well, it's because they have records from hospitals and all that. They know who everyone is who has Rh negative blood. It's not a mystery. They often actively look to recruit people from that who have that factor in their blood. For example, I gave a speech and a seminar over at an alien abductee survivors conference in Las Vegas. And almost everybody at one of these alien abductee conventions is Rh negative. That's why they're there, because someone abducted them due to their blood factor. And now they're looking for a solution to the problems that they are facing in life, of feeling different, of no one believing them. So in the particular seminar that I gave, which was specifically about individuals who have Rh negative blood who were abducted, everyone in the room was Rh negative. and they'd all been abducted, and it was really incredible. So people who have that experience, they often go from seminar to seminar, they read book after book, and they're trying to figure out what happened to them, what's special about me. But all they keep encountering is the same propaganda about the grays and love and light, and oh, they're your friends and you should practice this particular meditation. That's really not necessarily what people should be doing. They should be getting a book like The Last Harvest by Lucien Mars and reading about the history of these various extraterrestrial civilizations and seeing what resonates with them. And oftentimes, if someone is Rh negative or abducted or hybridized, a particular extraterrestrial civilization may resonate with them, where they just feel like, oh, that's my home. And if someone does read a book like this and gets those feelings, then the next step for them was actually to pray. And I'm not saying that in a religious sense. I don't support or endorse any kind of human religion, but the reality is that there is a creator, an almighty divine father who creates everything. This has nothing to do with Christianity or Islam or Buddhism. And all you need to do to have a relationship with him is to pray to him directly. You don't need any religion. Religions just start wars and conflicts and lead people astray. Why not pray to your creator directly? And you can. And I advise anyone who resonates with anything I'm saying, or who reads this book and resonates with what I'm saying, or who is Rh negative, or feels they're abducted or being abducted repeatedly, they need to pray and ask, say, listen, what is my role in your creation? Am I of the light? Am I of the dark? How do I align my will with yours? I acknowledge you as my creator. I don't want to be in rebellion against you. And you will be surprised at how events will unfold in your life to lead you into the direction you should be led in. And it's important that people do this, because what's coming is not just that you're going to be killed by the elites and the extraterrestrials behind them, because let's face it, human life isn't very long. You were going to die anyway, sooner or later, regardless if they had a plan to kill you or not. But what's special about what's to come is that human beings will be faced with choices going forward that are very, very dark and very dangerous. So, for example, when people during COVID, they would say, well, get a vaccine or you can't have a job. Or if you're in Europe, get a vaccine or you can't get food to eat. Well, what will come in the future is they will say, if you want a job or if you want to eat or you want to survive, you have to get a chip in your head, like Elon Musk's chip that he wants to put in people's heads.
I mean, that's from a biblical standpoint as well.
It is.
You know,
it's the mark of the beast. And Elon Musk, he wears a Baphomet costume in some of his X postings. And the reason Elon Musk renamed Twitter X is because X is one of the symbols for the planet Saturn or Satan. And this idea of the chip in your head, people need to realize that Elon Musk isn't the only one developing this. British Telecom is developing a chip to put into people's heads as well. And the name of this chip is Soul Catcher 2025. Again, the year 2025 keeps coming up. They're calling it Soul Catcher. They're telling people this for a reason, because if you do opt to put a chip into your head, you're basically giving up your free will and damning yourself, and nothing's going to save you, because it's a free will choice. You're saying, okay, I'm going to give up my free will. I'm going to put a chip in my head. And once you put a chip in your head, the chip's in control of you, not you. But you made that choice. So it's very important for people to realize the seriousness of what's to come. So it's ideal that one
this is
now more than ever gets right with their creator.
It's a lot to take in, but no, you're making a pretty strong point. It actually reminds me. I don't know if you remember the Stephen King book, ended up becoming a movie called
The Stand.
You said which one?
The Stand.
The Stand is one, but it's another one called Sail. They ended up adopting the movie with John Cusack. Samuel L. Jackson was in it. Which technology, it was a frequency that was causing people to lose themselves. You know, it was extraterrestrial, which pretty much man-made, but extraterrestrial technology that started to take over. And you hit this frequency, you kind of lose yourself and you become zombified and you're just pretty much lifeless and dead on the inside. And now this frequency can control you and have you do whatever they want you to do. And you're just a mindless slave to the rhythm and you're not even knowing what's really happening. And I find it very intriguing because this is saying that life imitates art, art imitates life, etc. Same thing like movies like Men in Black or TV shows like The X-Files. You really start to think like, where did these ideas originated from? And then you really start to put things in perspective like, okay, you know what? This is not just a theory. Theories is something that's theoretical, right? A possibility. But I feel as though in today's age, it's very easy to write things off as a conspiracy theory just to compensate for reality, because sometimes reality is hard to process. And it's another thing. People feel the need to believe lies quicker than truth because sometimes the truth hurts. So what would you have to say to those who would consider you a conspiracy theorist and your book and everything that you're talking about as a hoax? What can you say to them?
There's conspiracy theory and there's actual conspiracy fact, meaning conspiracies actually do occur. They're not all theories. So if someone says, well, I have a theory about someone's death, well, they're theories, and then there's the actual realities that something happened to actually cause that person's death. So I would run this by people. So there are two books that are very interesting that were written. One is The Ringmakers of Saturn. It's by Norman R. Berggren. And another one is Saturn, The Secrets of the Extraterrestrial Engineers. And it's by a guy named Panay Andov. And what these books cover is something that most people are not aware of. And that is that NASA sent up several expeditions to the planet Saturn over the years. One was Voyager 2, and the other one was Cassini. And they downloaded, especially from the Cassini trip, an insane amount of data of all sorts. Audio, visual, different frequency scans. And what they determined, although you won't hear this on the news, is that the planet Saturn is a transmitter, and it transmits information. So when people talk about the Matrix, which is a very common thing people say, Andrew Tate will say, oh, the Matrix is persecuting me, and you have these Matrix films and all that. Well, what the Matrix actually is a artificial reality that we are trapped in that is transmitted from the planet Saturn. And Saturn, for those who are not familiar with the history of words, is another one of the many names for Satan. Because what people don't realize is that Satan is actually a reptilian being, just like Lucifer was. So people tend to look at these concepts in a sort of biblical, religious, mystical sense. But the reality is that they're extraterrestrial in nature. And what NASA saw is that the rings of Saturn are being created by massive extraterrestrial spacecraft. They're not natural, they're artificial. They act as antenna. So if someone thinks I'm making this up, they can get these two books, read the findings that NASA found, read the analysis of them, and it'll give them a much greater insight into what's going on now. Because people are, in fact, living in you could call it a simulation, for lack of a better word, but it's pretty real. If someone shoots you, it hurts and you die. But the problem is that when you die in the Matrix, you come right back into the Matrix, and you don't want that.
The thing is, I believe the CIA have a lot more information and intel than they're really letting on. For one of their project with Project Bluebeam, the fact that they're able to create, what's it called?
Hologram.
A hologram. There we go. Create a hologram that's so realistic that can trick the human eye and it can be like really realistic. So my thing is this technology that's just started, or is this technology that's been around for quite some time that's influencing the masses? And like you said, one of the keys of war is to change perspective, public opinion. After that is isolation. Once you get you isolated, then it can divide and conquer. That's where you was coming at when you were talking about religion can create a lot of divide and create just numerous times where genocide has been linked with religion and whatnot.
What a surprise.
And race. And so my thing is, it's like with all this technology that they have, my thing is, was this man-made created technology, or was this technology that's been adapted from those terrestrials, or what others may call higher life forms, should I say? Because I do definitely believe like experimentation that happened. I'm not sure Area 51 is still a thing, but I heard that they changed it from Area 51. It's been breached so much.
Area 51s, many of them.
Yeah. And I definitely believe, like, they capture them to study them, like the same way they capture us to study us. And I feel as though it's a rat race, right? I feel as though the more advanced civilization wins in this rat race. And I feel as though I watched a lot of YouTube videos about CIA informants coming forth, spreading their knowledge, spreading their truth. Of course, their face is kind of like masked, their voice is muffled, so that way their identity it's not being exposed. Because of repercussions. I'm not sure if they signed like NDAs or whatnot. So obviously, they did working in that type of work environment, just to give the human race a chance. Okay, because the general population, I personally feel as though we're not all humans out here. And as you said yourself, okay, that there are definitely hybrids out here walking around. So I think the CIA informant came forward to tell the human population about what's going on behind the scenes to better prepare us for what's coming. So
Yeah.
it's interesting. It's intriguing. It's actually a little gnarly to time to think about it. But my thing is, like me, I don't consider myself religious. I do consider myself spiritual. And I've experienced a lot of things spiritually. And that just opened my eyes to the fact like there's more to life. But when it comes to the sci-fi aspect of everything, I'm open, okay? I'm not a skeptic. I'm open to everything. They're out there.
Sure, yeah.
X-Files. I'm sorry. I'm obsessed with X-Files. But no, seriously, that's one of the reasons why I want you to come up to the show to speak your truth, to lay down the facts. And yeah, because it's intriguing. And you're actually not the first guest I've had on the show that spoke about the same topics. It was just pretty interesting. And I love how you went to detail.
Thank you. I think with extraterrestrial technology, it's important to note that extraterrestrial technology is several 100 million years more advanced than anything on this planet. That's important to understand. So this creates a gap in technology that's so vast that humans can't even comprehend what they're up against. As far as the technology that you may see on this planet that appears to be extraterrestrial, most of it would be what would be considered on a relative basis junk that the Greys traded with the humans on this planet who were in charge in order to get permission to abduct and experiment on people. So what happened is during the Eisenhower administration, they approached him and said, if you let us abduct people, we're going to give you this technology. And then they approached the Russians and gave them another deal like this. So every country thinks that they're somehow getting this advantage. They're getting what appears to them to be impressive technology, but it really isn't. And they get assistance from the Greys. And in exchange, the Greys get to abduct human beings and pursue their long-term goal, which is to take over this planet for themselves and get rid of us. So this is a big issue because most extraterrestrial civilizations look at the planet Earth as a planet that is an ideal location on intergalactic trade route, a planet which is in possession of incredible natural resources, most of which humans are not even aware of. And they all really want this planet for themselves, but humans are in the way. And that becomes the issue.
I mean, that's obvious. I feel as though that was one of the main reasons why they wanted the planet, because of the natural resources that's here. And like you said, we may not know all the resources that's, made available. It could just be the Earth core that they want, honestly. Maybe not the Earth itself, but just probably the core, And I'm pretty sure they have technology that can be able to extract the Earth's core and go about its business. But without the Earth core, then the whole world would kind of be thrown off its axis, and we'll be pretty much, I guess, like floating in the Netherlands some damn weird. So honestly, we never know, but I do feel as though there's some deep diabolical reason as to why they want the Earth, because this is something that's been happening for quite some time. And this is a very strategic moves on their end and also our government. So my thing is it really the government or is it really the 1% that's kind of pulling the strings here? Because
like I said,
we're talking about the Illuminati, talking about Masonry, and if you had a certain blood type, X, Y, and Z. My thing is, it's like, is it really the government, or is it like the 1%, the ones behind pulling the strings, the ones orchestrating?
The real orchestrators are the Greys, and what the Greys do is they approach the so-called 1% and say, if you carry out this plan of global genocide, then you will rule over this planet with us. But
Okay.
of course, that's a lie. As soon as they would accomplish that mission, the Greys would turn around and kill the 1%. They don't need them, but they would
Right.
let the 1% do the dirty work for them. So
Huh.
behind the Illuminati, behind the Freemasons, behind the elite, behind the 1% are the Nebu Gray extraterrestrials.
Interesting. They are the real puppet masters.
Yes, them and Satan, because Satan is the one who controls this matrix that is being transmitted from the planet Saturn.
Interesting. So I'm gonna ask this one quick question. If the opportunity presents itself to be a part of the 1%, but all you have to do was to sell out,
The answer is no.
what would you do? Like, would you do it just because you can get like fame, riches, and be forever taken care of on this earth, or would you do it just to get like an insider's perspective to help?
I have no interest in. I would never do that under any circumstances. I have no interest in any of this worldly stuff, and those individuals that you are talking about are my enemies. I have no interest in joining them or taking any kind of whatever it is you're suggesting. I have no interest in any of those things.
I know that's right. Look, stand strong. You got to stand for something, or you fall for any fucking thing. And you standing on your word. Okay, well, just gonna take a little breather, kind of shake it off. Okay, that's a lot to process and it's intriguing. But yeah, so we're gonna go ahead and move right along. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and just play a quick little game with you. I'm not really sure if you're interested. Say you're interested.
I don't know. I can't agree to something I don't know what it is.
Okay, so there's nothing to worry about, nothing too crazy. You won't get abducted in this, okay? It's going to be a quick little game called Dine and Dash. And what it is, it's pretty much a lightning round of questions. You choose either or. And yeah, that's about it. You interested?
I don't really know what it is. It doesn't sound like something I'd be interested in. I don't know what kind of questions you can ask me. If you can ask me questions about the last harvest, I'm more than willing to answer them. But I don't like to enter into any unknown thing, and I don't know what I'm getting involved in.
No, you good. Trust me. Best believe it is nothing obscured. It's nothing too crazy. In fact, I would even start it off for you. Okay, so this is Dine and Dash. So the first question that I am going to ask you, is summer or winter? And in this case, you either choose either summer or winter. Which season do you prefer? So starting off with the first question, I would say winter. I love wearing coats and jackets. That's just me. So I'm going to ask you, summer or winter?
Summer or winter? I prefer.
Okay, winter. Okay, moving along. Second question. Music or podcasts?
It depends on the content of either. I like podcasts. I like music as well.
But you get to choose one. If you had to choose music or podcasts?
I don't know. I mean, imagining a life without music. I don't know. I'm not sure. I don't know how to answer that. It's hypothetical. I don't really deal well in hypotheticals.
So I'm just going to go ahead and just leave that as is. Okay. You kind of made mention of this earlier today, but I'm just going to go ahead and just say it anyway. Religion or spirituality?
Well, as I said earlier, all religions are the creations of Satan and the Anunnaki, and they do nothing but divide people. The important thing is to reach out to your Creator, the Divine Father, and reestablish a relationship with Him if you don't have one, or if you maybe when you were younger, for whatever reason, you got this idea in your head, probably because the enemy put it in there, that somehow.
A few moments later.
There's something, you should have an axe to grind with the Creator. And many people have this view, like they're angry at the Creator, they don't like Him, they don't want to believe in Him, and that's their free will to do so. But I would always encourage people to acknowledge Him and establish a relationship with Him, because people, they go around, they look for life coaches, they look for gurus, they want to follow some Indian guru, they want to follow Andrew Tate. Why not go to the person why not go to the Creator who created you? I mean, what better guru than the Divine Father Himself? Who better to ask for help or for advice or to guide you through your experience as a creation? So with me, it's not even about religion or spirituality. It's about, what does the Divine Father have planned? What's His will? How do I align my will with His? That's how I look at things.
Okay, that's a deep explanation. So we can go ahead and skip that one as well. Okay, next one, okay? Fact or fiction?
Everything depends on the circumstances. You can't ask someone a question, fact or fiction, and leave out the rest. I know it's entertaining for people, but to me, it's like fact or fiction relative to what? What does that even mean? It's just, I'm not trying to be problematic. I'm just trying to explain to you that I don't think and process information the same way other people do.
That's understandable. But the purpose of the segment is just, a quick lightning round as far as if you had to choose either or, like nothing is set in stone, Damien. It's nothing set in stone. But if you just had to choose either or,
I would say
what would it be?
there's always something set in stone. That's what's written on the Georgia Guidestones.
I mean, that's the purpose of a game, because you can either win or lose, but at the end of the day, you just can still play. I mean,
I don't. I'm not interested in playing games. I mean, I'm not trying to be troublesome to you or something. I just,
this is just an icebreaker to kind
we
of
already
like
broke
alleviate
the
the
ice. We're
tension.
talking about the end of the world. There's nothing to break. It is.
I
What
mean,
it
at the
is.
same time, it's still not only informative, but it's also entertaining to listeners, especially if you want to create a deeper dialogue with them. Like,
I'm
you
not
do
interested.
understand.
I'm not.
Okay, it's perfectly fine. Okay, folks. So we're just gonna go ahead and end this segment. Because we didn't really dine too much. But yeah, that's perfectly fine. I would say just go ahead and tell listeners where they can find all your works.
Well, I was gonna say you can go to the Last Harvest, and everything is there you need. All the social media channels, all the articles, all the videos, everything you need to know. thelastharvest.info. So if you prefer to watch on YouTube, Twitter, whatever it is, you can all find those links from that main website. If you want to get copies of the book, digital, physical, if you want the audio book, you can get it on any platform. Amazon has it. Yeah.
Okay. Well, all the information will be linked in the description, wherever the description box is. But I do know it will be on my-itout.com as well, distributed on all social media platforms. If you enjoyed this content, go ahead and follow, subscribe, and like, and follow us all on social media. Anyways, this is the show, the episode, and thank you so much to my co-host who came in on today, Damien Dumar. It's been a weird one. Real weird one. You got a little tongue tied there. And
Right.
Yeah, it's definitely been intriguing. So I want to say thank you again for coming on to the show.
Thank you.
All right. Well, I guess that concludes this episode. Until next time, I'm your host, Vic Tor, and we out of here. Deuces.